Hello and welcome to another episode of the 43rd Minute Review Show. Coming up today we will be reviewing the biggest release of the summer, Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight Rises, as well as some of the other films that have come out over the past month since the last review show. Okay, so let's get started, shall we? First up today we have Christopher Nolan's epic conclusion to the Dark Knight trilogy, with The Dark Knight Rises, starring Christian Bale, Tom Hardy, Anne Hathaway, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Morgan Freeman, Marion Cotillard, Gary Oldman, and Michael Caine. Sorry, I needed to read the list there. There are a lot of famous people in this film. Okay, so let's jump straight into the categories. We have the technical side first, and anybody who's ever watched a Christopher Nolan film will know that he's very mathematical and very clinical about the way that he does things. Everybody who has seen previous works, even just the other two Batman films, will recognise his touch and how he works and how he does. Especially if you watch Inception in particular, you will see similar touches all the way throughout the film there. My main gripe with the way that this film works and the way that the film runs in a technical sense is that it is really jumpy and choppy. The pacing of this film, even though it's almost 3 hours long, is insanely quick. You have no time to catch your breath whatsoever. It just goes, and you really do have to take some quite epic leaps of faith with the characters, and that's the only thing. This film is very good, but I think it's going to be one of those films which the problems in it are going to scratch away at me for quite a while, and I'm going to have to go and watch it again before we can come up with a and so this review might change over the next while. So technical, good, but with shaky points. Acting, okay? Everybody who's seen the previous films will know everybody fits into their roles well. So Christian Bale returning as Batman, he does a very good job. Michael Caine playing Alfred the Butler. It's a very nice relationship, but we've seen this before. So the people that we'll talk about in particular, who stand out in particular in this film, are Tom Hardy and Anne Hathaway. And Tom Hardy, he is not as charismatic as the Joker in the previous film, but he is such a big presence. There's a moment in the film where he just instantly is intimidating with just the touch on this man's shoulder, and it's a really sort of spine-tingling fear kind of moment, and that's really great. And particularly, even better than that, probably a show stealer for me and for Gemma, is Anne Hathaway's Catwoman. She's a perfect Catwoman for Christian Bale's Batman, and she fits perfectly into Christopher Nolan's more realistic Batman universe. And she's brilliant in it. She's brilliant. She's not crazy, or she's not like there's no superpowered cats in this that make her Catwoman. She's just a cat burglar, and she's a really believable character. So a big thumbs up from this for those two characters. Plot. The plot is very well thought out. There's a lot of there are major leaps of faith that you have to take, but it shouldn't take away from your enjoyment of the film. Hopefully not, unless you're a big comic book geek like me. You are on a journey with this. It is on an epic scale, and you do really need to like rein it in and sort of just go along with it and almost empty your mind of possibilities, and you will really get on board with it, I think. So yeah, thumbs up. Again, shaky ground-ish at points, but thumbs up nonetheless. Commercial viability. This is the end of the trilogy. This is probably the most anticipated film of the year. It's been dulled down to a 12/8. It probably could have been a 15 if they didn't cut away from every death throughout the entire film. So it's a comic book film. It's got all of that buzz around it. I have no doubt it's going to be one of the biggest films of the year, probably the biggest film of the year. So big thumbs up from us, and our personal opinion are that we liked it. I have some problems with it. I do have some problems with it. Now, don't get me wrong, this is a good film, but as I said earlier, I think this is going to be one of those things which eats away at me. which eats away at me for a while. So you will enjoy it, but I don't know if you'll enjoy it as much on repeat viewings like Batman Begins or The Dark Knight. So good, but shaky, okay? But it does well in all the categories. So we are going to give it 4.5 stars. Next up we have The Amazing Spider-Man, Mark Webb's reboot of the Spider-Man franchise, starring Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, Emma Stone and Reese Ifans. Now let's just jump in and I'll give you a brief rundown of everything that we thought of it, okay? The technical aspects, it's a pretty well put together film, but there are two major gripes. The CGI transitions between CGI and reality, so when Spider-Man's swinging about and then when he lands, it's too jarring. They don't look like the same person. The CGI is too smooth, Andrew Garfield doesn't quite fit the costume, it's a bit odd, but the major problem for me with Spider-Man is the fact that the music is completely wrong throughout the entire film. It is so disjointing to the rest of the film and it just feels wonky and thumbs down, bad. Right, acting, okay? Acting is very good. There's a lot of chemistry between Garfield and Stone, and they do have a good backup cast, like the man who plays Emma Stone's father in the film. I can't remember his name, sorry, I don't have it here. He's great, and Reese Ifans is good. Yeah. Again, wobbly kind of thing like that. The plot for me was the biggest downturn. There are far too many similarities between this Spider-Man film and the Sam Raimi original Spider-Man 1. I mean, you could almost line them up together and they would have a similar sequence of events. And I'm not lying, that was a really big no. And another major thing is that Kirk Connors is the Lizard, is a great bad guy, but there was just not enough development of why he was bad, why he became bad, and he's one of the best bad guys in the Spider-Man comics, and he was just overshadowed by the sort of weak writing for him. Like, the romance between Emma Stone and Garfield is really well written, there's tons of that in it, but there's just not enough development for the Lizard, and that's a shame, big shame. Down. Commercial viability, again, good. It's a reboot, they usually tend to do pretty well. It's Spider-Man comics, there's a new generation of kids who need to see these films and everything, so yeah, thumbs up for that. It's really tired though. It's really tired, so yeah, maybe not. And my personal opinion and Gemma's personal opinion are we just really couldn't get on board with this. It's really long and it's really tired and the music's all wonky, so no thanks. So, but in the categories it does okay, so 3.5 stars from us. Next up, here's a rundown of everything that's still out there and is either worth watching or worth avoiding. So first up we have Lovely Molly, Eduardo Sanchez's horror film starring Alexandra Holden and Johnny Lewis. Okay, this film is a pretty good horror film. It's not going to be anything that you haven't seen before, but it's very well made. You can tell that there's a lot of love and care that's gone into it. It's a I really enjoyed it, to be honest, to say that it doesn't have jump scares. Jump scares really bug me in horror films. They're really cheap. And this film is more about what you don't see and the sort of absence of fear and the sort of psychological nature of the troubles of the Molly character who the whole story focuses around. And you will see what's coming, you will figure it out probably from the opening credits. It's a pretty well done film. It's not amazing, but it has a lot of things that I like, and Gemma liked, so Eduardo Sanchez could be somebody to watch in the future for further horror films, because this might just be a sort of couple of stumbles on his as a starting block. So well done there for that, and again we're going to give that 3.5 stars.